All right, Sarah, we were just talking off camera a little bit. When you woke up this morning, did you think that your name would be the one that was in the headlines on all the big websites and ESPN talking about you and everything like that?
Not at all. It was something that was so simple that I was just trying to get, my friends and family and who else, to kind of help me with an easy way like of donations. And now it's turned into this big giant thing. It's like, oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm very happy for you, and I know that it was kind of in some headlines, but obviously the big thing was today with Jake Paul not only donating to you, sharing the link, tweeting about it. How did you find out? Was this something that you knew was going to happen? Like, did he message you at all, or is this just all of a sudden this came totally out of the blue and you were tagged in all this stuff?
Yeah, literally, when I woke up this morning, I do my routine stuff and I was on my Instagram and like I saw it said Jake Paul and it was just like, is this the real Jake Paul? Is this like he how you found me? Like, wait, what? And it was like I was in shock, like pure shock. And he's just like, hey, I'm gonna help you out. And it's just like, um, okay. It was crazy. So yeah, and then he had this post and now we're here.
Yeah.
I'm just still just like, oh my gosh, I'm in disbelief with everything right now.
Yeah. Were you a Jake Paul fan before this whole thing, or there's the whole MMA versus Jake Paul, that whole thing. So I'm assuming now you're a big Jake Paul fan. Did you like him before? Were you kind of neutral?
Right. I I was pretty neutral. I try to stay neutral in general. I just you don't know people. And the person who is on the screen could be a different person behind the scenes. And that's the same thing. A lot of people they're like talking crap on me for this GoFundMe. It's like you don't even know the story. You don't even know who I am. And so, I kept it was pretty neutral. I was just like, wow. And now, like, yeah, we'll be friends.
Yeah. And I definitely want to get into that with you because I think, you came out recently and you said, hey, I'm going to start this GoFundMe. What was the decision-making process like for that? Like, what occurred where you hit a point where you're like, you know what, hey, I'm gonna start a GoFundMe because we don't see a ton of fighters do it. We've seen some, but it seems like some of the up and comers do struggle with these sort of things. So what happened specifically with you that you wanted to kind of ask for help, essentially?
I'll try to make a long story short, right? I was supposed to fight in May, and that didn't happen. My opponent got COVID, and they tried to find me someone else, and it couldn't happen. So they rebooked me, and then they rebooked me for September 4th, but then they moved that to September 18th, right? So we're like stretching this timeline. Um, I was doing fine. If I had fought like May 22nd, I would have been right on the line. I had set my financials up. I was making it. We were doing okay. And then it's like instantly like one thing after another was happening and now like even I had like transitions gyms and stuff like that and fighting for this camp I had been trying to make it work to find training partners that can help me and so traveling and just trying to figure all this out and it's just like I hit like rock bottom with that especially my financials like I couldn't do it and I'm working and I had already decided to start going to school. So with this fight that I was supposed to have May 22nd, it was like, okay, well, I'll be able to get this done, this done, this done, and then I'll be able to get another fight. Like it worked out perfect, and then it didn't. So um, I was asking for sponsorship and for like help and trying to do what I could on my own. I was just like, why am I struggling so much when I barely even know what I'm doing? So I got with a marketing agent, and she was like, "Well, if you need help, people are like, hey, I can't sponsor you, but I need a way to, help you. Let's do a GoFundMe. Let's set it up. Let's make this goal, and let's try, to make all the things happen." And now we're here.
Yeah.
So.
So just to get that straight, obviously a lot on your, forget about your fighting career for a second, a lot on your plate anyway. You said you're working, trying to go to school again, trying to make ends meet. So do you feel like that you're the only one in this situation, or do you think that this is something that a lot of the up and comers, the people with the, only a couple fights have kind of gone through?
No, I feel like I am no different than anyone else. We are all struggling. And even like I can't blame UFC. They've tried, to rebook me and to give me a fight, and it didn't work. And they did book me a fight for September. So it's not like they didn't try, and times before, and especially with COVID, just everything going on. And they've paid me more than any other organization prior like has, like
Yeah.
so I should be grateful to be a fighter. But what sucks is like you have this purse and you get this fight, or you have sponsorship and you need to make that last. So you get this on the front end and you need to like organize all that and make that last so you can do it again. But then when something like this happens, and I really was like, even for a show purse to go in and make weight, I didn't get anything. And so it's like you put in all these hours and all this work and I got nothing for it. And now I have to wait and do it again. It's just like, and I'm not the only one who goes through it. It happens all the time. Just all MMA fighters. I feel like just maybe the system needs to be different. What if we got paid monthly? Maybe people would like train more and do everything. That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of what stuck out to me, right? When I see, I mean, again, this is not a unique situation in terms of some of
No.
the language that you're using. Like when you say, oh, I want to, you're in the UFC, you're one of the best fighters in the world, and you haven't even flipped the switch to go quote unquote full time yet. So can you explain to me maybe what the difference is now that you kind of have some funding behind you, what your training is like, what your focus is like versus when you have all this stuff on your plate and you're trying to make ends meet and you're having to work extra jobs? Can you kind of differentiate those for me?
Geez. So if I am getting correctly on what you're saying, I mean, really, like this is literally kind of like an overnight thing. Like
Yeah.
I had time to plan this. Like, like I'm a barista and I live in Oklahoma. So you can see like I need to figure out now like what's the next step here, because now I have opportunity. Like do I quit and just go like 2 feet in and just do it and see if make it works? Like, will I have a backup plan? I always like to plan ahead. And this is kind of just like, here it is. Like, man, I need to just fly by the seat of my pants. But I mean, if I have the opportunity to train full time, to my fullest, and to be able to travel where I need to, and to get training partners and to get better and to make that happen, I need to like what's the best situation and scenario to do this, but I still want to be respectful to my position I'm at now, because I have morals. You just do stuff like that. So is it like, do I need put in my 2 weeks today? Like, what do I do? Like, what, you tell me, what do I do right now? If you were in my shoes, what would you be doing?
It is a tough situation. I think when you look at where you're at, you clearly have to you weigh some stuff, right? And you have to take the good with the bad and make a decision. That, I mean, it's something that I think even as us media, like we don't necessarily totally understand like all the ins and outs, the things that you guys have to go through. So I guess kind of, again, you mentioned like maybe monthly pay or something. I think the goal, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, would be for fighters that are starting out to be able to kind of do the full-time thing some way or another, right? To be able to have the support financially, to not have to work a second job like athletes in other sports. Granted, the pay is a little different, but would you say that that's kind of what the end goal should be? Maybe that should be some sort of the culture shift there.
Oh yeah, I think, and especially, a lot of times I see fighters, and a lot of times here, like mentality wise, they think they want to do this, and then it's like stuff like this happens and they're like, oh. But even like training, I had to have a heart to heart with my new coach, with Justin Stone too. And he was just like, you want a job or do you want a career? It's like, well, I want a career. I'm in the UFC. He's like, well, it's time to pick it up. Like, it was like, oh crap. But like so many other fighters don't understand what it takes. And even in the beginning before I made UFC, I'd ask people like, what does it take? What do I need to do? And there wasn't a clear answer. So I'm saying like if you want to make it this far, like this is what I broke down my training hours, and that's it is like a job, and the amount between that and your nutrition and meal prepping and your strength and conditioning and following a decent sleep schedule, all that, it is full time. Like between what I'm doing now and my job and my schooling, and this is just summer, I measured out and I was getting over 65 hours was what I'd been putting in on stuff. So it's just like things are full time. So I think fighters, if they're ready to go in, they need to make sure they do have a plan, and they need to be ready to go and go in full, and then to have that support. And if someone's paying you, every 2 weeks to train or something, you have a requirement, like do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess for a fighter like you, right? I think sometimes the argument when fighter pay stuff gets brought up is like, well, the fighters signed up for this. This is what they do. So for somebody like you that went through the ranks, and I'm sure you were paid even less than what you're, getting paid in the UFC now, do you feel like that your expectations of what it meant to be a fighter in this career, like that's what you got yourself into, was what ended up happening? Was it surprising to you, like when you reached the big stage, that things weren't necessarily all, perfect?
God, when my dream and goal is going to be a UFC fighter, you look at like football players, you look at all these professionals, and you see just this big front picture. And even the big fighters, you see this one picture and you think they have it all, and reality is no. Like even as being in the UFC, like right now, like I kind of feel like I'm just starting out, and I don't feel like a professional because I am still working and still trying to put more training in. So I'm like putting forth more training because it's more important to me to stay, and I'm on a different level. So I got to keep up with all these other badasses out here. So I'm putting forth even more than before I made it. So it's like it's a harsh reality check of what fighting really is. Yeah, I mean, I guess yeah, like I did put myself in it, but no one told me the rules and what it was gonna be right here. Like no one said I was gonna be where I'm at. When I got a contract, I was like, all my needs are met. I'm great. I made it. Um, I won't have to. I can quit my job. No, no. I had to actually get before. Like I was working like 2 jobs before, and this, and slowly trying to change it up. Like shit's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And with fighter pay too, like right now, I think it's interesting because a lot of the bigger names too seem to kind of be, in contract disputes and stuff. Is it discouraging at all as like an up and comer to be like, right now I'm focused on just trying to make ends meet, have my career, make some money. But then even like down the line, like this might be something to a different degree that I might have struggles with.
Yeah, I feel like there is a lot of pressure because even if I don't perform how I need to, then I get cut and I'm in an even worse situation than I was before. Like, what do I do then? Because even um, as I said before, like I don't know if a promotion the promotions I was in before, I didn't get paid what I get paid now. And I'm still on like a trial, and like I lost my last fight. And so now it's just like, well, do you have what it takes? Because UFC is not going to keep somebody who loses a bunch of fights. They're not going to keep somebody like that around. So it's like, you gotta win and you gotta keep winning, and then we can talk. And like, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Am I just
totally.
rambling? I feel like I
No,
ramble
no.
so much.
No, it's all good. It's interesting to hear your perspective, and we can speculate as much as we can, but I like hearing it from the people that are actually living through it. So, do you feel like, let's talk about your fight a little bit with everything that's going on. Do you feel like this camp, despite all the craziness and everything, is going well? Like, do you feel like that this build and the fact that you're getting the donations and maybe some of the funding, even though you have some tough decisions to make, do you feel like that this could be the best version of you that we see with this little extra boost?
Yeah, yes, everything is so chaotic right now. And two, like my number one partner, she's in out with an injury, and so like finding people for me, and it's just like, man, Oklahoma's scarce. So I've been trying to travel outside to do that. So everything is chaotic right now, but God is good all the time, and I know He will provide, and I know I will find the right solution and just keep being the person I am and doing the things I'm doing, and it's going to work out. So I'm positive and I'm excited. So it is going to work out, and I can't wait, especially with this funding now of the choices I'm going to make and be able to train what I'm going to do and make this the best camp that I can. So,
I love it.
ooh, here we go. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. September 18th, Erin Blanchfield, your opponent. Looking forward to the fight. I'm excited to see that you kind of use those funds for good things. But let's end it with this. I've appreciated your discussion, but let's end on this note. If you were to say one thing to Jake Paul, I know you kind of talked to him, but if you were to say one thing publicly to him, what would you say?
Oh my gosh. Like if he was here in person with me and I could like look at him and be like, "Hey Jake," gosh, what would I not say? I don't know. I think like if I could say anything, thank you is just not enough. I wish I could just give him a great big hug and just been like, can I just give you my time? Because I think time is more important than anything. And just what can I do back for you? I don't know what to say. Like no one has ever done something like that for me before, and just so simple for him. I don't know. I'd say everything, all the things and none of the things at all because I'm awkward. Like I'm just so grateful and blessed, and I can't believe you found me.
Well, congrats on everything working out. I'm happy that things seem to be moving in the right direction for you. I appreciate your openness too, and good luck with everything, Sarah. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me. This was cool. Thanks.